Okay. Um, First of all, thank you for coming out. You know, it's Friday, day before game day, the fair, and everything. I really appreciate you guys coming out. And 5 points, you know how you guys did, right? So, with that being said, I'm gonna talk about the company that I work for. You know, we're on the fourth floor. We have no signage. And I always tell people we're in an IBM building, you know, on the fourth. Check us out. I'm gonna try to advance this. So let me talk a little bit about myself. So I graduated from, it was called South Carolina State College in 1984. So I've been in the world for a couple of years. And I had a major in business and a minor in accounting. All right, like how did this guy get into this field, you know, with those degrees? I'll tell you that a little later. And so I was hired at Sios back in June of 2012. We used to be located in the office park in Lexington. Okay, this building came up and we brokered a deal, you know, with the university, and of course we did it every chance, and of course I love it. So my original position was a product support engineer for the current products that we have, which is Data Keeper and Life Keeper. I'm on the Windows side of the business. You know, you have two operating systems. You have Windows, and you have Linux. I'm on the Windows side of the business. I could morph into the Linux side, but I'm a Microsoft. I used to work in Linux. So and of course, that's my current position right there. My hobbies are golf, but walking, auto mechanics. I play bass a little bit. I have a fretless 5 string, and I have a standard 4 string, and I have an acoustic bass that I keep upstairs in my office that I can just grab and, you know, play something that I like here. And you'll see this big black guy riding a e-bike. That's me coming in the building. I don't park my bike out on the rack right there because I work with engineers and I work with students and things happen. I take my bike upstairs and I put it in my office. Now, that's a little bit about me. There's some more about me, and then Trey will talk about you in a second. So about me, I was an honor graduate of the United States Marine Corps boot camp down at Paris Island. In the summer of 1985, on an X-100, maybe, you know, about 500 recruits. I was the #3 person. I had no idea there was an award. I was just hustling. I've been just doing the things that I needed to do. So that was fun. Then I started working at Dana Corporation, and Dana Corporation, based in Lugoff, they manufactured the chassis for Mack trucks. Now, this is where the accounting component comes in. So when I was working at Dana Corporation, I was an accountant / accountant tech, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and they had a mainframe. And they were printing off these weekly, bi-weekly, monthly reports. And my sole function was to take that information in lay terms and put it into another computer. I said, this is crazy. I say, there's so much room for error on this. So, and Tony can identify this. There was a product, first generation spreadsheets called Lotus 123. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. So I asked my leadership at the time, do I have access to the mainframe? I think I can figure some things out. So to make a long story short, I just took that report, downloaded it, parsed it, and put it in the Lotus 123 and just ran a couple of forms. And then I automated, we call it AI, a task that used to take 10 hours a month in, I had it down to 10 minutes, you know, just with batch files. So that's how I kind of launched my IT career. I was an enthusiast. And then to take it another level, they kind of migrated me into the IT side. We didn't have an IT person. It was kind of remote. Myself and this other gentleman, we built the first local area network at the manufacturing thing. So it was all fun. They gave me a blank check and they said, do whatever you want to. I was so excited about it. I decided to venture out in the world. So I sent my resume to a blind box and God offered me a job. And I said, well, who am I going to work for? They said, oh, this is Microsoft. I was like, are you serious? So I'm like, me? I was like, I don't know everything I need to know, but I knew enough because I was a fan of how things were evolved. So I went to Charlotte, worked in the Microsoft office, and this is when everybody around me were familiar with the IPX, SPX protocol, which is a routable protocol like TCP/IP. But this is when there was a paradigm shift in the industry where people were starting to use TCP/IP. So in a support capacity, it was my job to make sure that when somebody opened up a support case to help them with networking issues. True story. One day I was sitting in my cubicle and a guy comes and stands over behind me and he says, how is that TCP/IP routable protocol stuff going for you? I'm going, hey, it's pretty good. I turn around, it's Bill Gates. And I'm like, okay, that was a Kodak moment, And probably a week or so after that, I got a promotion. And then I helped someone at AT&T with what you want to call an elaborate network issue. And the guy offered me a job on the spot. He thought I was in Seattle where, Microsoft is headquartered. And I said, well, no, I'm in Charlotte. I commute, back and forth. And then he's like, well, talk to your leadership and see if you can come work for us. And I started working for AT&T at the time. And then there was a merger with AT&T, NCR, then it became NCR. And these are some of the roles that I had. This product right here called Disney, first generation video conferencing. Out of the entire company, it was somewhat of a defunct product where people were going to video conferencing. You didn't have Zoom and stuff like that at the time. We had a camera and they paid the money and pulled in high-speed lines to my cubicle, ISDN lines, set up all this equipment so people can test and I can troubleshoot if they had a problem with that. It's like, man, I feel important. That's a lot of money putting in high-speed lines in my area. And people just, I had a camera and, they would access it and they would just pan in. I have little notes that says you are now connected, something like that. So that was pretty cool. And then I worked at Ventex, which is based in, I think they had a California office, but we had an office in Colombia, and just working with their customer relational management software for utility companies like SCD&G at the time, Experian, etc. Then I worked at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They had their entire force was using some old mainframe mail, and they were trying to scale up to use Microsoft Exchange. I was a part of that. And then I worked at this data mining company in Charlotte, which is really cool. That's when I got my SQL Server job, more or less. And my sole function was they had a server in the data center, and I built some other modules too, that kept the fantasy stats for ESPN. That was my focus. So every time I watched baseball and they have stuff, it's like, hey, that's some of my work, So that was pretty cool too. Let's see here. All right, before we go into who is Sios, I want Trey to talk a little bit about himself because he came to the same program that you guys. So he'll let you know.
I got a quick question for you.
Okay.
What came before WordPerfect and Loaded?
Paper and pencil?
No, PC Write and PC Cal.
Okay.
So you were dating yourself, I'll date myself.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yep. I'll keep it brief. This is Greg show. He's the GOAT. So I'm just shadowing, I'm garnishing his presentations. But yeah, like he said, I'm a product support engineer as well. Also the intern supervisor for Sios. Started in 2019 as an intern, did that for a year. I guess they had nothing better else to do. They ended up keeping me full-time. So got hired full-time in 2020. So been there for about 5 years. Like you said, I came through the same program here, took the same class, took the internship next semester, learned a lot of valuable skills. Get to Sios, including the negotiation one was real important. I made sure I utilized that getting hired full time. So
Actually,
yeah.
I think you asked me some questions when you were interviewing, right?
Yep.
You came back and said, hey, what else can I ask for?
Yep. And I definitely employed that. So take this class serious. You're gonna learn a lot of valuable skills you're gonna need when you get into the workforce for sure. far as the work, I operate on both OSs, Windows and Linux, so I get the full spectrum of things. We never know what might happen on a daily basis, but that's it for me.
I can spell Linux. That's about it now. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about who these guys are that are located on the fourth floor of this building. So let me see if I can advance this. So we were founded in 1999 by our leader. He's based in Tokyo, Nobu Kiko. And we're headquartered in San Mateo, California. That's kind of like southwest of the airport in San Francisco. That's where we're headquartered. When we have offices, as we mentioned, here in Colombia, we do research and development. And then we have a UK office, Germany. Singapore comes on at 8 p.m. Eastern, whichever time it is, Singapore time. You know, they work with us also. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the parent company is based out of Tokyo, Japan. So we navigate like we're a company of a couple hundred, but in all essence, with the way the technology set up, we kind of move like a company of about 50 people at any given time, 50, maybe 50. So, and right here where it says nominated for best places to work, of course, we won it again this year, 2025, and I will tell you, I enjoy what I do. It is fun. It really is. You don't have a lot of people that wake up in the morning, or maybe just roll over and just grab my laptop and say, I enjoy what I do. Because they give me a blank canvas and it's like, if you can make this product better, go for it. Not a lot of companies are not going to tell you. So, leading experts in high availability and disaster recovery, I think is what you were alluding to earlier. So we have really 25 years focused in the HA sphere, and we have more than 80,000 licenses that are installed globally. And we've partnered with a lot of people in the industry, Microsoft being the primary partner. You'll see on some other slides, we work with Google, SAP, Oracle, because their customers use their product, and in turn, these customers use our product. So it's a win-win situation. We just started doing some SAP stuff for one of our products. That's been good. And here are a few awards that we've won over the years in reference to customer service and computing excellence. Let's see, the Customer Service Department of the Year and Research and Development, which is really good. I think it's an honor to work with smart guys. We have some guys that are math majors. One of our professional service guy, he's kind of like me. He's a senior guy in the company, professional services, and he's a music major. And he plays guitar, so we have that, commonality. But he's very good at what he does because the company, like I said, we foster learning. You want to be a lifelong learner. I've been in the world a long time, and this is probably the most excited I've been probably about the last 20 years. I've really, and because things are always changing, so the technology is, I saw you with the skateboard right there, and I'm like, there's some technology associated, but I'm assuming you got one of the little things right there. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So the average years of support in the HA are about 7 years. And when I was coming out of college, it was like, oh, go work for a company for a decade, and if you don't like it, move. Do something else. And here, I encourage you to exercise all your options, but most of us, like I've been with the company 14 years, something like that, pretty much. And I enjoy it. When you're good at what you do, there's no secret. I get job offers all the time, but I believe Biggie Smalls said, more money, more problems, right? You got to weigh your options. It's like, do you want comfort, or do you want to have that big 6-figure salary, but you got to work 9 days out of the week? So there are some trade-offs. Be mindful of that. Okay. All right. So, and we're staffed 24/7, 365 days a year, really 24/5. And after, 8 o'clock on Friday, 7:59,
Yep.
it kind of rolls over to a call center in Atlanta. So they're not technical, somebody calls in and say, hey, my server's on fire. And then they reach out to us. And then we go in, go to break fix mode, get them back online, then provide a root cause. And then if there's something in our product, we grow from there. It'll be listed as a bug and it'll be fixed in the next few weeks. That's kind of like how the software world works. So let me go to the next slide. As I was saying, these are some of our partners that we deal with, and the partners have customers that run our product also. These are some things that I've already spoken about. Okay, how we work. And I think I may have talked on that a little bit. I'm gonna change it up and come on this side over here. Culture. The culture is phenomenal right there. Like we're an Asian-based company, but we have people from all over the world that work with us and speak multiple languages. It is really nice. If you could pick up a second, third language, I'm still toying around with Japanese, Don't ask me to speak any Japanese. Google Translate is amazing. So, okay, 10 years. All right, yeah. Most people have been here 10 years. What happens is, you have youth on your side, and you go out, and you guys are probably, you got to be smart to be in this class, but you'll probably, see a lot of shiny things thrown at you. Like, for example, like the bigger companies like Facebook. It's like, oh my God, we give you pizza every day, and we have a skateboard park, and we have a theater. That's then talking about Spectrum. Before the movie is released, the Spectrum employees get to see it before it hits the silver show. You get all of these wonderful amenities and everything like that. But they're looking at your resume and say, oh man, this person is not married, they don't have any children, they don't have any overhead. We're gonna run you man ground. We want to work you 24/7. Oh yeah, we'll pay you, but your health is going to be in the process. So like I said, you have to weigh your options, All right, so let me come back over here. Celebrations, we celebrate birthdays. We have team building events, we go bowling, what do you call, what is it? Uno.
Yeah, we play Uno, Nerf guns,
Xbox, the Nintendo, what do you call it? Yeah, we do all that upstairs. We do all that upstairs. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we'll just break it down. It's like, you know what? I bet you we can break this code and figure out why that Donkey Kong, whatever it is. It's fun. It really is, but it's money too. So, DEI, we're big on that. We're big, I've never seen a company, we just kind of navigate and don't think about it. But when you pan in the room, when we have our like once a year meeting or something like that, when everybody comes from all the offices, it's beautiful. When you just get a chance to talk to different people, you don't see the same people all the time. We communicate via Zoom or Slack or some of these other channels. But when all of us are physically in the same space together, it's great. It bodes very well for helping everybody. So innovation spirit, I've just kind of talked about that. And I already talked about best places to work for. So let's get to the crux of what we do as a company right here. It says, any system components may break at any point. Not a matter of when, instead of. Your thing wheel on your skateboard is gonna go out. It's gonna happen. Are you ready for that? And the same applies with the company that you work for. You may be providing support. You may be a software developer. Something is going to break. How do you respond to that breakage? All right. So this is a traditional on-prem data center right here. I think I kind of did some justice to it with the drawing right here. But you have a server. You got some native servers before. Anybody ever been to a data center? Cool. All right, you got an IP that we're talking about. Right? So you got an application that's running on one node. I think you want to call it being redundant in second node. And the single point of failure on this is the shared storage. Right here. That goes out, yeah, it still runs a little bit, because you still get that But as that goes, if the storage goes out, you need to know. And that's when your job is on the line. If you plan forward, or if you don't run out of problem. But, okay, going back to what I just talked about a few seconds ago, downtime is expensive. So you have some companies, 91% of the companies that navigate in the world with 1 hour of downtime, that you kids would say, 300 racks. That's how much money they can lose in an hour. That's on average, medium to large companies. The bigger companies, right? 44% of those companies, 1 hour of downtime, okay, can result in millions, i.e. Wall Street, the big crash, stuff like that. Google it, you'd be amazed at how much money they lost. So, just to put things in perspective of how crucial it is to have high availability and disaster recovery, because things that, once again, going back to the skateboard analogy, is going to happen. You just need to be able to when it happens. Okay, but downtime costs more than just money, okay? We're talking customer confidence, reputation. If you got your company and you're doing some stuff and you can't access your digital resources, especially if you got a point of sale machine and people are walking out of the door because they can't handle a transaction, hour, you may have lost, $1,500 or something like that. You're gonna go look for somebody else that can keep my stuff running, Okay. All right. And this, once again, this goes to the industries, so education, we're talking about Port Charleston. I'm just throwing some stuff with your point of sale machine. Heaven forbid, if your games are not accessible, you guys probably, I would be. Yeah, and definitely the medical complication. That's crucial. That's crucial. Speaking of medical, Harvard is one of the accounts that I manage. The hospital, Beth Israel Deaconess. Yeah, they run one of our problems. Yeah. So our vision, and I think I kind of expound on our vision a little bit, but our vision will always be your first choice for HA and DR. All right. In a world where you can always access your applications and your data. That stuff always got to be available. Always. So what is high availability? I think I'm going to expound on that a little bit. So high availability, let me see. Yeah, let's see. So we'll come back to this slide. High availability. You ever heard the term 4 nines? You guys familiar with high availability? You hear it. If you stay in this profession, you're going to hear it a lot ad nauseum, especially if I'm a customer and I'm like, it's just like a warranty. How many nines can you guarantee? So someone may say, well, Greg, I can guarantee you 4 nines, meaning that in a whole year, one calendar year, 365, you only sustain an outage of 52 minutes. All right, do the math. Like, this is what you want to strive for right here. Government, banking, they go 5 and 6 now. They guarantee Truist, Wells Fargo, whoever you bank with, that will be out annually 20 seconds a year. You don't know that because you go to the ATM. Oh yeah, the ATM may be down, but there is some redundancy. You might have to ride down the street or something like that, to with the ATM, because they all belong to the same network, all the banks. You get your money. And I don't know if you guys have studied this yet. You can tell me, have we talked about the OSI reference model just yet, the stat?
Not at work,
Well, I tell you that if you have to go through the networking class first, then maybe you should look at that. Oh, it's fine.
Google OSI reference model, that is something you will hear in an interview. I don't know if it's still do that. That was a question. You have the OSI reference model, you have the reference model. They may use the term stat. Okay, and it's like, where are you in the stat? Are you an application person? I'm a network person. I can go transfer, network, storage. It's fine if we understand, but I'm just gonna make my list. And instance is the same as server. So you don't have all of your servers in one silo or one location. They're dispersed geographically in many locations. That's where your redundancy resides. Something happens in one location, still running on that. Thanks, so talked about one there. And this is where we come in as a company. You know, our goal is to ensure that you maintain 4 nines on hot. You know, that might be some service level agreement you have with your customer. Customer comes in and says, I need to have my information, my assets, my digital assets, my application. They have to be available 52 minutes or less, you know, in a calendar year. Those are selling points. When you're trying to get someone's business right there. And that's what we do as a company. We can assist in navigating those landmines called high availability and this actual customer. We can get you there. We can in a Windows world, and we can on Linux. Okay. See if I can go here. Right, we'll talk about public cloud in a second. And so we can okay, all right, and we just talked about what I've been rambling about the last couple of moments here about protecting your application and databases and, you know, just trying to mitigate the complexities of HADR and how to take full advantage of the cloud. When I say the cloud, I'll put out some vendors like AWS, the NFL, you just take AWS, or some of them use Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, you know.
Azure, things like that. Azure as well.
Yes, Azure, Microsoft, Cloud, well, Azure, yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about our product. Let's get a little granular with it. So let me know right here. So this is your standard configuration right here, where you know it's kind of self-explanatory. You have your storage here and you have your nodes, and this is where we come in, right? We provide the mechanism, be it asynchronous or synchronous, for replicating your data from New York to Los Angeles. From data center 1 to data center 2. From AWS region
US
East Coast
one
to AWS region West Coast. From AWS to Google, from AWS to Azure. You know, that's what we do as a company. We ensure that you have identical replicas of your data in the event that something catastrophic happens to a region, you are still running. It is invisible to you that's doing this on your phone. But to the engineer, analyst, architect, to the C-suite executives, they know that something happened, but they do know that they still have high availability. The customers can still conduct this e-commerce verification. All right, and we just talked about this, and we're good at what we do. You know, I mean, not so many people can shoot an email and say, I'm down, you know? And it's like, okay, this is priority 1, let's start a Zoom. I myself, I'm like, give me them out. It's like, and I always tell them, I'm not gonna do anything intrusive to disrupt your operation. It's like, let me find some facts. We're on the same accord, then I'm going in, I'm gonna fix it. You know, it makes me feel good knowing that I helped a hospital, a cancer hospital, because, you know, they couldn't access your data, you know, to do research or something like that. But, you know, there's some post-mortem that goes on that. So we're in break-fix mode. Now I have to once again provide a root cause as to why that happened, the way that it happened. And there's a write-up that I provide, and there's suggestions that I provide. It's like, you know, maybe we can strengthen your infrastructure if you do this one. You know, or if you do less of this and more of that. It's a swan song. And, you know, this is the use cases that I was just talking about, you know. We're in every, we're in everything. We really everything. Some of the banks, some of the sporting, entities, like I said, NFL. I don't know if they're still one of our customers. I know I worked with them, a while, back. Manufacturing, we cover the entire state. Yeah, so. And I think I'll be wrapping it up here. So the new data center needs high availability, depending on shared storage. So if you're the new CEOs or C-suite executives, or you've been dealing with the task of building a highly available, infrastructure like it. So this is kind of traditional, you know, you got a server here, a server there. Okay, and you got storage in there, you know, so you're gonna evolve. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna be daring, and I wanna have my data replicated geographically to other environments, other locations. I don't necessarily wanna have my data go to AWS. I might wanna have my data go to AWS and to Google. But, okay, I wanna use multiple vendors. I wanna talk, I wanna negotiate with them the price. It's like, yeah, I wanna set up servers in your environment. But can you do it cheaper than company XYZ? Well, I'm talking so. Hybrid model, it goes once again. You might have your on-prem environment. I'll give you an example. There's a data center right across from, what do you call that? This one that my daughter used to do, Union, what do they call it now? Saw, yeah. You ever see that big round building? That's a data center. That's a big, you ever notice you hear it's kind of loud? Those are the generators of the backup system, you know, that run there. And we have assets in there, and our assets, you know, belong at the data center, and some of our assets are in AWS.
Azure.
Oracle. Yeah, yeah. So, but the common denominator is our product. You know, you have the engine, the car itself, but you want to use different tires on the car, you know, and that's gonna be something like what. And then virtual, so this is my favorite. This is when you have your own data center, you have nodes, and within those nodes, you have virtual machines. You're actually connecting the software. A lot of people, you know, they think they're connecting to a server, but you're actually connecting to a virtual machine. I like this. This is pretty common. All right. Matter of fact, we're working on Mavis Tire.
What about just their
Hyper
concept?
V.
Yep.
17 nodes, and they're doing some load balancing. They have some nodes over here, some nodes over here. Same thing. They're using our product to protect the virtual machines. And you know, people are leaving the basic storage and they're using solid state devices, which are really fast. You know, I'm just going. I think a lot of people in the industry are striving for all flat, which makes sense. If you're a brand new company, why would I want to invest in a server room, so I can just go and sign up with AWS and I can have services on demand. I can build an entire infrastructure with a couple of clicks of the button. Of course, it's planned, but let somebody else do the heavy lifting. You know what I mean? It only makes sense. It only costs pennies to run a server a day. You can get a reserve instance if you want to physically go into an AWS or Oracle data center. But your data follows you, you don't follow the data. You know, them days of CDs and, you know, give me the so-and-so, those are gone. Does your any devices back here got a CD drive on it? Yours? Nope, anybody?
That's old school, Greg.
That's history. That's history. On demand.
5 minutes.
Okay, all right. And once again, I'm talking about the platforms, operating systems, the application databases. These are some of the things that all companies, there's not a company in the world, I think, that hadn't touched any of these right here. And with these, like I said, SAP has customers and SAP is our customer. And their customers are our customers. So it's a win-win. So our team. All right, and I think I talked about who we are in reference to the HA and VR sphere. You know, we're great at what we do. Customer sales and renewal opportunities, this is just business as usual. And like I said, many team members have IT backgrounds because many of us don't. I didn't go to school for computer science. But I do work with a mathematician. He has to tap me on the shoulder every now and then and say, you're out of order. You know, which is good. Yeah. So. Okay, I kind of touched on that right there. So joining us, right? We want you to come work for us. I mean, he's a good example. He's done it really good. So these are some of the positions that we're looking for in our Columbia office. We're being research and development. Now, this is where Trey and I are, but believe it or not, I think I myself personally have traversed every role in here in some capacity or another, but that's my primary function. If somebody says, Craig, you know, we got a Hyper-V scenario where they can't do a live migrate or a quick migrate from San Francisco to Harlem. Okay, well, let me jump in and fix that. Then we'll go from there. So I'll just leave that up. And tell me, they'll get copies of this?
I can.
Okay, yeah, these are positions that we're looking for intern. All right, here. I'll leave the screen up if you guys want to take pictures of it. And like I said, Tony said he'll get that on. And your chances are really good. You know, if you're sitting here looking at this presentation, your chances are really good. And you won't be relegated to the Columbian office. As an intern, we would like for you to be in the office, but you know, there might be that one day, you know, we're open for remote, you know, internship, you know, stuff like that. But for the most part, you'll be here in this building. Doing stuff, learn the trade. All right, let me change slides here. So internship opportunities. I could throw out some more bullets here, right here, but definitely go here and take them. Okay. And if you want to scan me, if it doesn't blow up your phone, I don't know what's on that scan.
And for the summer internships, we typically start posting them in March.
Yeah.
For the summer semester. So you just have to check our website just to keep looking out for it. And full-time opportunity as well. Just you have to regularly check our site on that to find that we kind of post that sporadically. More specifically for the internships in March.
Okay, and here are a few additional caveats that we just talked about right here. So how long can I work as an intern? During the summer, you can do 40 hours a week. Now, to show you how gullible I am, you get paid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, paid intern. I never had a paid internship when I was in school. Okay, and it's self-explanatory. It speaks for itself. You got any questions about that? You know, just let us know. H-1B visas. If you need more information on that, I just encourage you guys to reach out to us. And, you know, we'll put you in contact. We'll reach out to HR and they'll give us the correct response for that. And this one right here, I'm graduating in May of 2025. Can I apply for a summer internship? Yes, you can. You most definitely can. And we talk about summer extensions. Yeah. Where will I work? Primarily in this building on the 4th floor. And how we communicate to each other. Email is definitely to go to. But we have the internal mechanisms, you know, we have the Slack channel, you know, Zoom, WebEx, you know, we just do it all. Like the headphones. Let's see. I'll just wrap all this up right here, but this one is important right here. This covers all of that. This is what I tell my daughter, but she went in undergrad and now she's a graduate. How do you learn how to succeed if you don't know how to fail? You know, you learn how to succeed. I mean, before I became a Microsoft certified engineer, this is way back when it was hot. And I had 7 exams that I need to take. And I struggled with the last one, the TCP/IP exam. I took it 3 times and I needed a score of 700. I got 701. But I didn't quit. the thing that I struggled with back then, I became the subject matter expert with in my company. You follow what I'm saying? It's like, you're gonna have some downturn, but you learn from that and you keep going. There's no such thing as perfect, even with our software. You know what? You can plan for redundancy and high visibility, but things are gonna happen. How do you fit? How do you adjust? But-
Question.